great first week of the year. Today I'm going to show you how I set up my 2022 journal. For the materials, I used these 4 pens. I used the Muji 0.38 for my writing, and the rest of them, the calligraphy pens and the highlighters, are mostly just for headers and highlights. I also have some stamps and ink pads. Most of these have been with me for years since I started journaling. And I also got some washi tapes and stickers to decorate my pages. Before anything else, I always like to set up a mood board. I'm a very visual person myself, so I like to do this every time I start a new journal. And I do this kind of old school thing where I go through old magazines and then cut out images that resonate with me. It reminds me a lot of doing a scrapbook, which I really love doing since I was a kid. And the goal of this page is to roughly set the tone of what you want to achieve and have this year. This can be like places and activity. Here I've added photos related to like fashion, painting, books. For example, books because I wanted to read more this year. And other things that are like related to my hobbies. This page should be of no pressure at all. It doesn't have to be very aesthetically pleasing. Like whatever you see that resonates with you, then you can put it on your mood board. For example, I found this really nice quote that says, "You can cut all the flowers, but you cannot keep spring from coming," which is something that really resonated with me, so I decided to put it on my journal as some sort of a reminder for myself. And this is how my mood board for this year looks like. For this part, this is the gratitude page. I find this helpful for me since it keeps me grounded to have concrete reminders of things that I should be thankful for. On this page, I just write down everything that comes to mind, whether it be a small thing or a big thing. I wrote here that I'm thankful for my cat. I was thankful for the past year. I'm thankful for my job. I'm thankful for my family. Anything that comes to mind, you just write it down. So whenever you feel or find yourself you're complaining a lot, you can just come back to this and remind yourself that there are a lot of things to be grateful about. Now we're on the goals page, and I divided this into 4 parts, which is number 1, personal, 2, spiritual, 3, work or career, and 4th is financial. For me, these are the 4 key areas that are the most important to me in my life right now. And this depends for each person. For example, if you're a student, you can put school as one of the categories there. And I recommend having 4 to 5 categories max for this one to keep this concise and not very overwhelming. I then write down my top 5 goals for each category. These are more general ones which I can later on break down to smaller goals when it comes to my monthly goal setting. For example, in the personal section, I wrote create a knitwear brand because that's one of the major things that I really want to personally create for myself this year. For the spiritual section, I wrote set aside time to meditate, since that's something that I really wasn't able to achieve last year because my head is just so noisy. And lastly, for the financial section, I wrote save 100,000 pesos this year, which is a very specific goal with a specific amount, and I think it is helpful to be precise, especially for the financial category, so that you can actually know and plan out how much you would save for each month and how to strategize your spending. For this part, this is something new for me. I haven't done this before, which is intention setting. And the reason why I decided to do this year is I wanted to go deeper beyond the surface level of my goals. I wanted to ask myself more why I actually want to achieve these goals, and to kind of like reflect on my inner self and ask like the why questions, like why do I want to achieve this, like why do I want to have this and that. This enables you to make more mindful decisions and to know where to actually put your energy into. For example, one of the intentions that I wrote here is to establish a sacred daily routine, and the reason why I wanted to do this is so that I can form healthier habits and to avoid procrastination. And this also circles back to one of my goals, which is to be mindful of my overall mental and emotional well-being. Personally, I just wrote 5 intentions for this year just to keep it short and clear. Next part is scripting, and this is something that I just recently started doing last year. Basically, what you do here is you write a scenario that you visualize in your head that you want to happen, and you write it in the present tense. You can write a specific place, time, and date, and it's basically visualizing and living that moment that you want to happen and bringing it to life by writing it down. You can even read it out loud just to kind of like bring it into existence. It's kind of like claiming that you're already living this future even if it hasn't happened yet. Last is the future log. I just took this from a bullet journal setup that I used to do before. For this section, you can write for future events. For example, you can write holidays, birthdays. If you often forget birthdays just like I do, you can write them here in this section. And other events or tasks in your life that are important or big or are happening in the future. This gives you kind of like an overview of what your year looks like from now. I personally do 2 spreads for this part. The first one is for the first 6 months, and then the next one is for the last remaining 6 months. And I leave enough space for them for each month, just in case there are months that can be like busy and I have to list a lot of things, like for example like things to do during the holidays. And that's all of it for like the homepage setup of my journal. Now I'm gonna show you my January setup. I always write my months and my days, and sometimes I journal in French whenever I can, just so I can stay in touch with the language since I've been learning it. I've been studying it since 2019. As you can see, I also did this like cover page just to set the mood of the month. I also added some stamps and stickers to make it more aesthetically pleasing. I do this for each month, and I use this adhesive tape. It looks like a correction tape, and I really recommend using this instead of glue since it's much easier and cleaner to like stick things. And now I'm just adding some more washi tapes and stickers just to complete my setup and fill in the blank spaces. Next is I wrote down my routine. I'm still in the process of establishing one that really works for me, so this is kind of just like a rough outline of what I'm gonna do throughout the day. I also added a dashboard section on the next page where I place my monthly goals, and then I added a creative tag section at the bottom. I've written here in my monthly goal is to read 2 books this month and to create 2 YouTube videos for this month. And for the creative tag, I've written here art and design prompts. For me, I added here knitting and painting prompts so that I can be more encouraged to actually do more of my hobbies. For example, I've written here learn a new knitting stitch and make a whole page of pencil artwork. That's it for my 2022 journal and my January setup. After this, I just go and write down my daily log. It's really simple. I treat this more like a diary. All of my work related stuff and to-do lists, I just put them on my Notion and my calendar. I hope you guys have found some sort of inspiration and hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'm gonna see you soon.